Hello gentlemen, welcome to Live Oaks in the E-75. Now, I must admit, I must come clean, I honestly did not know what to title this commentary as to whether I wanted to do it as a concept review, because we're going to be talking about tactics in general. That's odd to me, because we're going to be looking at what is the objective of a tactic, and how can knowing that help you to go through with one. We're going to be comparing the E-75 very much to the ST1, because I do that in my head, why not do it out loud for you guys? And we're also going to be talking about how important it is to stay 1 or 2 steps ahead. It's kind of along the same lines as tactics, but in either case, at the start of this game, you saw me attempting to head to the northwest of this map to fight the heavy fight. Now, let's do a quick analysis. Let's keep up with what I'm thinking at this stage. Now, their heavies are less incompetent than our heavies, but they're still fairly bad players. I was excited, enthralled by the possibility of going into town and using this beautiful German heavy tank as just a battering ram and kicking the absolute crap out of all the puppies that would be in there. That was an enticing prospect for me, but we got to look at the important tanks. The tier 9s on the team are should be factored in so much more heavily into where you position your tank than the tier 8s. I don't particularly care where the tier 8s are going to be. What I need to think about is where that T-54, where that Skoda, or where that E-75 are going to be. And the T-54 and the Skoda are most likely going to be on the 9-0 line. Well, what have we got to counter them? The T-54. And that's it. That guy's going to get owned, so I need to be over here. Now, should I go into an in-depth review about the E-75? I don't think I will. I think I'll just add in details as we go. Here we go, almost reaching up to our 40 km/h top speed with a 900 horsepower engine. Now, that engine is worse than it used to be. These German heavies, they got their top engine removed. I believe the E100 used to have a 1,200 horsepower engine. There goes the Jagdpanther on the enemy team, which is the same engine that you can currently find on the E50M at tier 10, the German medium. Okay, so this is exactly what I was afraid of. Our T-54 has overcommitted. Like, this engagement is looking like we might win it at the moment, but we don't know how many forces the enemy are bringing out behind that guy. Now, you're going to see me hold the shot on the Comet here, because I think, hey, maybe the T-54 will come out, and maybe I'm going to be able to get to shoot him. As soon as he doesn't, I engage auto aim on the Comet, because I knew my hands were shaking, and it flies straight over his tank. Now, there's another thing that we're going to be discussing here, is the fact that you do not need to do everything. I'm just going to change the song here because it's really not in line with this gameplay. Okay. That will do. Another thing that we're going to be discussing is the fact that you do not need to do everything at the start of the game. The thing about a tactic is it means that you are thinking about what's going to happen 4 moves in advance. Vast majority of World of Tanks players only think about the engagement that they have in front of them. And that's why it's such an advantage in World of Tanks to think tactically, and you're going to see it come into play here. Now, I know this flank is dead. And let's cover this, right? If I were to move up and try and help those guys, I would get rushed and die. The E-75 cannot handle itself against multiple opponents. It's got a rate of fire of 20.82. Maybe if I was in an ST1 with 4.51, but even then, I'm still just going to get outflanked and die because they've got the sheer weight of numbers, and it's something I just can't fight against. Now, here's where it's preferable to be in an E-75 as opposed to the ST1, and they both have the same accuracy of 0.38, but the E-75 has an aim time of, well, on paper it's 2.9, it's actually a bit better than that at 2.78, I believe. And the ST1 has got that classic Russian aim time, 3.4 seconds. You're seeing I'm missing all my shots here anyway, as I'm monologuing about the E-75 being better than the ST1. In regards to the gun, as you guys know, I think the ST1 is a better heavy tank every single day of the week, and we get a chance to secure the kill on the T-54, but it's flies straight over in this tank and disappears into the sky uselessly. Now, so I've fallen back here, consolidated far from my team here. And the main objective with this play is that I know I can't get attacked by all of them, okay? But I need to make them push this open land in front of my gun. I want them to have to push across as much open land under my fire as possible. So I'm going to turn this fat tank around, and I'm going to get ready to punish these guys for all the land that they want to take. They need to be taking damage while they do that. We get one into the upper angle plate of the IS-20, and if we were in the open right now, we would be so screwed. And they are advancing, and in this situation, you'd much prefer to be in an ST1 with that rate of fire. That bit higher DPM would help you out here. And T10 spams an APCR shell straight out of the trunk, knocking our gun out. Now, that's not so much of a concern in a close quarters fight, but I put it in here because I know that I need all of these shots to hit. And now that T10 has gone down to a one shot, so I leave him knowing that the Borsig is probably going to pick him up. And the Borsig does, so I push out on the 52, blows the tracks off. We claim a target in front of him and get one into his rear. Now we do have a fairly good repair crew on this vehicle if we don't have 6th sense. And this is something that you should be aware of as well. In an engagement like this, where you're engaging multiple opponents, and especially when you've got something, when you're reloading or you got something like the Armored in front of you, do not scope in. If I was scoping in like this right now and aiming my shot, then I wouldn't have the awareness that I need to put myself in a good position. Right now, I know that that IS-20 is trying to get a shot into my... I really don't want to take 390 AF damage in this situation. So I know that right now I need to push forward in an attempt to cut off his shot and keep pushing forward. And the SCM manages to ram the Borsig to death before we swing the gun around and get it on him. And we've got 120mm of sidearm and 160 at the side of the trunk. Seems to be holding up well against incoming far from wire consumers, the T20 and perhaps a VK who's unspotted as well. We do over angle our side armor there, trying to use the 130mm of armor that's on the lower plate as opposed to 160 on the upper plate. Now at this point I have no option other than aggression. We are outnumbered, our team is losing in this situation. You cannot afford to play passively. You cannot afford to let tanks go. It's the biggest cause of people losing games in situations like this. You've got to take risks, you've got to push forward. If your team is outnumbered, if your team is losing generally, you want to play more aggressively so that you can take those tanks out and even the score so that your team is not just going to get boxed in from all areas. And so, this was an engagement that was looking like a complete loss, but because a top tier heavy tank turned and ran away, we ended up winning the engagement. And this is the thing, like, people will tell you that you're noobs for doing this. A lot of people, the people who died up there on that flank, that T-54, probably thinks I'm a lag hacker noob. You're not. You're just thinking one step ahead. You're knowing that if I go up there, I'm going to get rushed and die. I need to draw the enemy into a close quarters engagement where my gun works, where my armor works, where I can use the impressive mobility of the E-75. 30 degrees a second traction reverse. That's amazing for a heavy of this caliber, of this armor. Admittedly, traction reverse is underwhelming, as you saw when we were tracked there against the 50T. I was pretty aiming at my turret because the traction reverse on the E-75 is something like 18. It's almost Hellcat levels of bad. Get a shot into the T-34, and then this guy. I don't know. I was begging him in the live game. I was begging him to go and do something else. I mean, really, dude, he's fucking APCR, bless him. He's played 10k games. Oh, bless his little heart. Really, I just, really. That felt wrong. And so we put a strong angle on our sidearm and managed to bounce the T-34 off of it. We know that that was a T-20 shell coming in from the bushes ahead of us, but T-20 is not going to be able to do any real damage at this distance and at this angle. So we're certainly not worried about him at this stage in the game. And I push forward on the T-34 because I know that he's got a reload that's almost as bad as mine. Now, what am I thinking at this point? I'm thinking, one, I want to get cover from the T-20, who I know is up there, so I'm going to go around this side of the buildings. But also, I would push around this side even if the T-20 wasn't there, because that way it encourages the T-34, even if he kites me around the building, he'll get killed by my team, flanking fire the ST-1 and T-25 too. If I went that way, for one thing I get shot by the T-20, let's assume the T-20 is not there. Okay, if I go around this way, T-34 can live longer. By going around this way, he's got cover from both me and my team. But, thinking about where my team is, it's best for me to go around this way in an attempt to push him out. Either way, he dies that situation. So, pushing around the left side, and there's 76 milliliters of side armor for us to chew on. And it just goes to show that you really... patience, or not so much patience, but thinking, and just, even when the start of the game is going terribly, I missed, I think, 4 pretty damn well-aimed shots at the start, I think. A couple of them were poorly aimed on my part, perhaps, but you don't need to do everything at the start of the game. As long as you're thinking, as long as you're keeping your cool, then it shouldn't matter. You can still pull out amazing games. I turned this game into an ace tanker by running away and just thinking about what I was doing. So, hopefully, gentlemen, this is giving you a good example of some different gameplay and how really thinking and being a step ahead can turn what would have been an awful game into a really damn good one. Gentlemen, until next time. Farewell.
Jingle! Sure. No. It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Can you stop stamping, please, Kelly?